Why is Switzerland so rich? The Swiss today might be known for their banking industry and as a country with a favorable tax system, but it is in fact the country's innovation that has given the country such wealth. In spite of the fact that 40 of the world's billionaires are Swiss citizens, you might be wondering just how this little Alps country came to be a hotspot for the wealthy. Well, that's what we're gonna find in today's video, so make sure to watch this video till the very end. Hello everyone, welcome to Countries as Economies Explained, a media channel that allows you to find out the reasons behind the economic situations of countries. So make sure to hit the thumbs up button and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, press the bell icon to never miss an update from us. There is no denying the fact that Switzerland is known around the world for its economic prosperity. According to the United Nations Index, the country currently ranks third among all countries in the world in terms of GDP per capita, as well as having the third highest Human Development Index. This is all to say that it is hard for a person not to wonder how Switzerland has achieved such economic prosperity. So let's take a look at some of the factors that led to Switzerland becoming a rich country. Well, there is not just one reason why Switzerland has become so wealthy. Many people attribute the success of the country's economy to its banking system. But the truth is much more complex than that. Here are some reasons that explain why Switzerland has such a large economy. Number 1. Industrialization and Innovation. Even though Switzerland does not boast much in the way of natural resources, the country was an early industrialized country, one that was ahead of its time in many ways. It resulted in a boom in the economy of Switzerland during the late 19th century and the early 20th century. Probably the most famous creations of Switzerland are chocolate and clocks, but the country has a long history of creating innovative products as well. Switzerland is renowned for its strong and diverse markets for its exports. Chemicals, pharmaceuticals, gems, and machinery are the main contributors to the economy. And in terms of free trade, the country's stance has resulted in a focus on creating things domestically rather than buying cheap exports from other countries. As a result of this philosophy, Switzerland is considerably more costly than the rest of Europe, but it is this philosophy that underpins its economic success. Number 2. Neutrality and political stability. Switzerland's long-term success is largely dependent on its ability to maintain stability. In general, the country has remained neutral during most major wars and conflicts, which means that it has not suffered some of the economic devastations that many of its European neighbors have done. In addition to that, the country's democratic system and their work ethic have enabled them to weather many political and economical challenges. As a result of this stability, wealthy foreigners and investors view the country as a safe place to store and spend money. A recent study investigated the factors which boost Switzerland's competitiveness in the international markets, and it was found that political stability was among the most critical ones. Due to its direct democracy and neutrality policy, the country has been spared from internal conflicts and wars abroad. The country's stability has also enabled Swiss businessmen and the government to concentrate their resources on developing the country's industry and trade rather than resolving military conflicts in the region. And additionally, since other currencies were unstable during world wars or other disruptive events, many wealthy people chose to keep their savings in Swiss banks, either by investing in gold or by holding Swiss francs. Number 3. Banking and finance. Switzerland hasn't been famous historically for its banking industry, but it's been a key driver of success for the country during the last century. The tax system of Switzerland has enabled the country to attract businesses and high net worth individuals over a long period of time, increasing the wealth in the country and establishing one of the biggest financial centers. Switzerland has long been accused of being involved in the more murky and secretive aspects of banking. However, in the recent years, it has taken steps to tighten up its regulations in this regard. Number 4. Inheritance. It's no secret that inheritance is one of the most significant factors that determine Switzerland's wealth, with many of the richest people in Switzerland inheriting money from long-standing family businesses. The Swiss inheritance tax system is preferential relative to some other European countries, making it easy for the richest individuals to maintain and pass on their wealth. Switzerland has long been accused of taking advantage of its neutrality during the Second World War by allowing the Nazis to deposit large quantities of confiscated gold into Swiss bank accounts. According to Switzerland's National Bank, in 1996, it acknowledged that it made a profit on its wartime dealings with the German Central Bank, estimating it gained CHF 20 million. According to Bergier Commission investigation performed in 1997, 76% of German gold transactions were routed through Switzerland. According to the Commission, the Swiss National Bank bought nearly $400 million in Nazi gold, which is now worth billions of dollars in today's currency. In the same report, the Nazis were accused of stealing $146 million in gold from Holocaust victims during the war. In addition, Switzerland has been criticized for the way it handled the accounts of Holocaust victims after the war. The Swiss banks finally reached a settlement in 1998 with survivors of the Holocaust and their families after the controversy, with about $1.3 billion paid out by the year 2013. The scandals have had a significant impact on the perception of Switzerland on the international stage, but still it made them rich. Anyway, let's jump to the next one. Number 5. Industrialization. As a result of the country's unification through the financial constitution, the country's railroad system helped connect the different economic hubs and ultimately contributed to the country's economic unification. There were many private railroads built by entrepreneurs, and the first railway line was built in 1847 between Zurich and Baden, which was also built by a private entrepreneur. Initially, electric railways did not have a centralized system until 1902, when the Swiss Confederation bought 5 of the giant companies and formed the Swiss Federal Railways, SBB. Since then, the Swiss railways have remained one of the most developed transport systems and a pillar for the Swiss economy. Industrialization was also influenced by the country's minimal cultivable land as well as its lack of raw material resources. Therefore, it made use of its geographically advantageous position as a trade route to import raw materials, which were then processed into high-end products. Number 6. Richest people in Switzerland. The nation of Switzerland is home to a number of the wealthiest individuals in the world. Forbes records that Switzerland has 40 billionaires, the majority of whom have become wealthy by inheriting multinational companies. Gianluigi and Raffaella Ponte are the 2 richest people in Switzerland. The couple owns the international shipping company MSC, as well as nearly $11 billion in wealth. The second place was held by financier Guillaume Poussaz, whose net worth was $9 billion. And the third place was taken by biotech company owner Ernesto Bertarelli. Switzerland has long been regarded as a tax haven on the international stage, with the cantons competing to offer the most attractive rates for corporate income tax and income tax for individuals. Since taxation is so complex in Switzerland, nearly half of all money in Swiss banks comes from outside of the country. But this doesn't mean there aren't any poor people. If the Statistical Office does not have a definition for the rich, then it at least has one for the poor. And this category of households, earning less than CHF 3,990 per month for a household consisting of 2 adults and 2 children, has seen its ranks increase steadily since 2014, going up by almost 10% in the year 2017. In fact, the poverty affects 8.2% of the population. A further 15% of the population is at risk of poverty. Those who live in single-parent families, those with no post-compulsory education, and those who are out of work are among those most likely to live below the poverty line. Although getting a job is thought of as a way of getting out of poverty, there are some 4.3% of the gainfully employed who are considered working poor. In Switzerland, 1 in 10 jobs is considered low-paid, and about 12% of Swiss workers hold such jobs, many of whom are women and foreigners. It is interesting to note that even after all of these things, Switzerland is still considered one of the richest countries in the world. In conclusion, the Swiss economy cannot be duplicated in other countries, because it wouldn't work like it does in Switzerland. Other countries struggle to stay neutral in wars. It's not easy for other countries to have terrain that's less easy to invade. It's hard for other countries to get the kind of trust that Switzerland gets. It's hard to give big loans to citizens. However, if you have to learn anything from it, you could learn 2 things. First is trust. Trust is the key element to any sort of business, financial deal, or anything that involves an exchange of money. And the second lesson is what you can learn directly from the people of Switzerland. Work hard, spend little, and save a lot. And that's it for today's video. We hope you liked the video. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button and do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more such videos. And this is us signing off for now. We'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.